All right, guys, I've got some bad news for many of you. I have watched some of your live streams. They are boring. They're boring. Why are they boring? Because some of you will have a 1 hour live stream, 2 hour live streams, 3 hour live streams where you're purporting to help people, you're purporting to tell people, to explain things to people, and you don't tell them any stories. Some of you guys do not understand the importance of storytelling. Storytelling is humongous. I am well acquainted with storytelling as a 20-year attorney who has had to argue and present cases in front of countless juries. I can tell you how important stories are, and some of you do not appreciate it, which is why I feel so good about giving this game to you in this course. Stories are one of the most powerful things that can ever come out of your mouth, guys. Humans, again, just genetically are predisposed to stories. We only really started writing, 500 years ago, 600 years ago, writing books and stuff. We have been speaking to each other, communicating since time began, since we came on the earth. Now, I don't want to get into all of, the Bible and all that, but stories are so important to humans. Sitting around in the campfire, just telling stories. We remember stories. You can remember stories that you heard so many years ago. Some of you do not tell stories. When you want to tell somebody how to proceed in a situation, you preach. All right? You guys need to stop preaching. Some of you guys don't preach. Some of you guys haven't even started a live stream, so I'm not talking to you. But I have watched a lot of y'all's live streams, and y'all are preaching to people. And interesting, talking about the Bible, when you think of preaching, what do you think of? You think of preachers. You think of pastors. Where do pastors preach? In a church. What is the most important book in the church? The Bible. I've got a question for you. What is the Bible full of? The Bible is full of stories. It's full of stories, guys. Stories are so important. If you have a 2 hour live stream, you need to have a couple stories in there. Should you fill it up with 30 stories? No. You will be hard pressed to find a live stream that I have where I don't have 1 story, 2 story, 3 stories in there. So I want to explain to you today how to set up a story. It's going to be quick, but this is so important. A lot of my clips, guys, a lot of the clips that I use for my streams, I get them from my stories, all right? Have a live stream about this or that. Tell a 10-minute story. Tell a 6-minute story. Clip it. Put it up the next day. Easy content, easy win, all right? Let's talk about the elements of a story. What do you need to have a good story? Let's take a look. Let me do this right here. Push it down. We got our trusty bootleg whiteboard. White boy. Elements to a story. All right. What do you need? You need number 1. First, you need the hook. What is the hook? The hook is what hooks them. Hooks them, grabs them in. Hey, pay attention. Now, this doesn't have to be some crazy, out of the blue type of thing, but you need to let people know, listen to me. Go back. Guys, even the word listen, I say it so much during my streams. Get you guys' attention, right? It's the hook. Hey, something important is going on. I know you have been in this stream 2 hours and 37 minutes with me, but stop, time out. Something is going on right here. Pay attention. It's the hook. All right? Hooks are very, very important. Then what do you need? What's the second one? Let's say engagement. Engagement. All right? Now, how do you get engagement? Now you've got them hooked. Now you've got them hooked. You need to keep them on the line. You need to keep them on the line. You can't just hook them and then you don't follow through with anything. So once you got them hooked, now you start to work them. You grabbed them. The engagement is you work them. All right. How do you work them? What elements, what tactics can you do for the engagement? Well, you can I do this? You can tell multiple storylines. They do this in movies all the time. You've never seen a movie where it starts off with Michael and Tabitha, and then it ends with Michael and Tabitha after 2 hours, and you never got introduced to the boyfriend, to the extra side man or the side girlfriend. You never got introduced to the neighbor. You never got introduced to the friends. What are these? Multiple storylines. All right. Multiple storylines are important because they allow you to do a lot of things. You can give the people a rest. When I'm telling you a story, I like to give you a rest. In the story, right? I'm telling you the story. I start telling you another part of the story to give you a rest, and then I bring you back to the main line. So you have a main line, then a supporting line, and a main line again. This is a rest. You know what it also does? You know what you'll do? You will start listening to the beginning of my story and you will try to get to the end. You will listen to the beginning, and while I'm telling the beginning, you're already in the middle and the end. You cannot stop it. You will absolutely do it. Guess what? If I start telling you the beginning of the story and I drop you down to a secondary line, now you can't tell where we're going. You're like, we were going, you don't know that I've dropped you down. You think we're still part of the main line. So now you're confused. You have to stop and you're like, okay, I can't see further. I don't have any visibility. That's right. That's right. I keep you guessing a little bit, right? So that's part of to have the multiple storylines is to, number one, you're hiding the ball. You're not showing your hand. You're keeping it close to the vest, right? You're keeping your hand close to this. I'm not telling you where we're going. And then you're giving the people a breather. You're giving them a rest, right? Which is very, very important. So you got multiple storylines, and then you also got, what else do you got? You got play up the emotions. You got to play up the emotions of a story. This goes to the engagement. Now remember, you already got them hooked, but now you need to work them. When you work them, that's the engagement. You play on their emotions, right? I'm not going to tell you a boring story. I have told many a story. None of them have been boring. Not when I don't tell boring stories, right? I keep you engaged. Live streaming is difficult, guys. You can't just cut on the camera and start talking for 3 hours. You got to have some talent behind it. But if you have some talent behind it, that's when you get the 50,000 a month. That's when you get the 60,000 a month, the 40,000 a month, the 10,000 a month, right? Like you're working up here. It's not like you just cut a camera on and you start getting 20 grand off the top for no reason. There's a reason. Play up people's emotions. Humans, we're naturally emotional people. I know there's this whole thing about women are emotional and men are logical. It's kind of bullshit, guys. Men and women are emotional. We're all emotional. So you got to play up these emotions. It is huge for the engagement. Play up the emotions. All right. Now, what's the third thing? The third thing you need is a climax. All right, this is not going to be some crazy, college level course on storytelling, guys. I'm just hitting you with the big points, the climax. And it's best if unpredictable. Best is not, all right, there's unpredictable. Is that how you spell unpredictable? Have a climax, all right? Don't leave people on the hook and then just forget about them. Once they're on the hook, get them engaged. Tell multiple storylines so they can't see where you're going. They can't follow where you're going. They can't jump ahead, right? And then play up the emotions and then hit them with the climax hopefully it will be unpredictable. Because again, they're going to try to, at this stage, at the engagement stage, they're already thinking about the climax. At the engagement, they're already trying to get down here, but you don't want them down here yet. That's why you want it to be unpredictable. How do you make it unpredictable? By having multiple storylines. All right. Then, you want the close. All right. Just close it out. Hopefully with the close, you're going to stick the landing, and that's going to be where you're at. All right. Now, here's what we're going to do, guys. I'm going to show you a story that I told on a live stream, one of the many, and I want us to take a look at it together. And I'm going to walk you through, the different parts. All right. Let me just do this right here. All right. Let's see. All right. This is a story.
Let me tell you guys a story.
Let me tell you guys. I'm going to put it on, let's do this. I'm going to put it on 1.5 speed, guys. Listen. So I'm talking faster. I don't want to take all day. All right. So I'm going to put this on 1.5 speed, so that, well, now that I'm thinking about it, here's what I'll do. I'm going to put this on regular speed, guys. But then you yourself decide if you want this on a higher speed. You just put it on a higher speed on this course. So you're watching this level, you're watching this video now. You just go on this video and put it on a higher speed. So you hear what I'm saying? Because I want you guys to get the full effect of this. And if I put it on 1.5 speed, I want you to notice the pauses. I want you to notice how I bring you along, right? I really want this to kind of be a class. So I'm not going to do it on 1.5 speed. I'm going to do it on the regular speed. But if you want to speed this up, you can. But the story is only 8 minutes. All right, let's take a look at it, guys. Let's take a look. So remember, what did I say the first thing is? The first thing is the hook. All right, listen to see if you can tell when I hook them. Let's play this. Let me tell you guys a love story. It's the best love story you're ever going to hear in your life. I know. Well, we can stop right there. What's the hook? Listen. What did I say? Let me tell you guys a love story. Oh, by the way, it is the best love story that you will ever hear in your life. Now, you have heard some love stories in your life. That's a strong fucking statement. So when I tell you this is the best love story that you're ever going to hear in your life, you're like, oh, I hear a challenge, because I've heard some great love stories. I saw the Titanic. You're going to tell me the best love story that I've ever heard in my life? Well, you've got my attention. That's the hook. That's the hook, right? Now, I don't expect you guys to do it like this. This is just me off the top, but I've been telling stories for a long time, right? But so we got the hook, remember? The hook, then the engagement. Let's take a look. It's a story. Let me tell you guys a love story. It's the best love story you're ever going to hear in your life. I know there's like Romeo and Juliet and all this. You guys ready? This happened last year. Let me, are you, all right. You're never going to hear a love story like this. Engagement. Ever. And this is real life. This is not TV. There is a couple, and they have been married forever. All right. So what do we have here? Oh, we have a couple that's been married. Now we're in the engagement. I already got you hooked in, remember? I told you this is the best story you've ever heard in your life. Now we're in the engagement. So now we have our couple. Now we need to look for multiple storylines. We have two people. Is there a third person that's going to be introduced somewhere so you can't know exactly where we're going? All right, let's take a look. Let's listen. And, the wife is 55 years old and the husband is 60. A couple of years ago, the The husband and the wife are legal permanent residents. They're not from this country. They're Hispanic. And but they're here and they got their paper. Everything's legal. But they had a son, and the son got into some trouble. The son's older, and he's like 30 or something like that. And he got deported. It was their only son. And his son kind of grew up here. All right, so now we're talking about the son, right? Listen, guys, I told you that this was going to be a love story. A love story typically involves two people. Now we're talking about a son who's grown, who got deported. What is that? That is a storyline. So now you can't see where I'm going, guys. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the whole point. You cannot see where I'm going. I'm talking about the son. I'm talking about this son who got deported. So you're like, wait, you told me this was the best love story I ever heard. Now I'm hearing about this son being deported. Where is this going? That's right. You don't know. You have to listen, right? So let's take a look. Let's keep listening. So where he got deported, you know, his country is it's not Mexico, terrible. And, you know, they could absolutely lose him, but there was nothing he could do. There was nothing the parents could do. So, you know, he got deported, and, you know, they're kind of grieving for him because he's down there and he's struggling tremendously. Okay, let's stop right there. They're grieving, all right? You have two parents whose son has been deported into a hellhole, and now they're grieving. What is that? What is that? You know what that is? Pull it up here. That is playing up the emotions, guys. There's really, I don't have any children, but to lose a child, or to have your child, even if your child is grown, to have your child living in some inferno, they're grieving for him. He's not going to be able to come back. We don't even know if he's going to live or die. What is that? It's playing up the emotions. And again, this is a multiple storyline. You don't know where I'm going with this. You have no idea, right? And the fact that you have no idea plays up the unpredictable nature of this love story. All right, let's keep it going. But you see, we got multiple storylines because you haven't even heard the love story yet. And we're playing up the emotions. Two parents, elderly and grieving. So the mom is dealing with those issues, but, you know, it is what it is. And so this couple's life, it goes on. Well, shout out to this 55-year-old woman and this 60-year-old gentleman who've been married for, I think, like for 40 years. They've been married forever. They're in the bedroom. And you know what they're doing? They're having sex. Shout out to him, to them. A lot of you men, you'll get married and you haven't had, you know, any oral. You know, that oral stopped at 36. This man is 60 years old. And do you know what this 55-year-old woman is? She is on top of him. And she's riding. And as you can imagine, from a marriage that's 40 years old, you need to keep things, you need to spice it up, right? If you want to know about spicing things up, come to Atlanta. Jesus. There are couples down here doing things you cannot imagine. Stop it right there. What is that again? I was talking about this couple, this elderly couple, 55 and 60 years old, and she's riding them, but then I stop. I tell you that she's riding, and then I tell you again about what couples are doing down here in Atlanta. What is that? What is that? Again, it's a small storyline. I'm pausing it. I'm giving you a chance to rest, but I'm also making it so you can't see where I'm going, right? These are little things, guys. These are things that no one would notice if I didn't point them out, but they are here, and they are the elements to a story, all right? Let's keep it going. Anyway, this is just last year, guys. She's riding. 55 years, you know her knees hurt, but she's doing it, right? And he is tied to the bed. And, you know, he's got his eyes closed, and, you know, he's enjoying it. She's enjoying it. She reaches down and pulls out a knife. And he doesn't see anything. She's still on him. And she starts to tear up. And she starts slashing him. I mean, just slashing. Blood everywhere. She starts slashing herself. Right? Wait. You should see the pictures of the bed. He's screaming. She's screaming. She jumps off of him and runs to the closet. She takes out a belt, takes a belt from the closet, puts it over the rod, puts it around her neck, and she starts hanging herself. This happened just last year. He is struggling to get out, and he gets one hand out, takes it off, and now he's free. He sits up. He jumps out of bed. Guess what happens? He jumps out of bed, guys. His intestines fall out. They're falling out. He scoops them up with one arm and runs straight to the closet. Some of you are like, Lead Attorney, what the fuck? You told me this was a love story. You told me this was the best love story I was going to hear in my life. Doesn't sound like it. Wait. She's hanging herself. Do you know what he does? He's got his one arm holding in his intestines. With the other arm, he raises her up. Raises her up. And snatches her off the damn rod with his intestines falling out that she caused. They're both bleeding. They're bleeding out. People in the house hear the screaming. They call the ambulance. Ambulance comes over. Both get rushed into immediate surgery. Both their surgeries were hours long. They both make it. They both make it. Let me ask you this. What did Frank talk about? Frank talked about redemption. Can you imagine the love that is necessary to have for a person, for a woman who has just opened up your intestines for you to run over and save her from killing herself because of the mental trauma that she had about y'all's son and how he, the way that he's in right now, being deported to that effed up country. I tell this story as about, it just happened last year, guys. She's out on bond. The husband got her out on bond. The husband showed up and testified in her bond after all of his surgeries, multiple surgeries, testified at her bond hearing and cried and told the judge that he wanted her out. Where are they at now? They're just waiting on trial. And they're living together. Sleeping in this, I imagine it's a different bed. Sleeping in the same bedroom with that same damn closet. What's the point? The point is when Frank talks about redemption and he talks about the floor, a lot of you guys in the chat were like, hey, and I feel you, I'm the same way. But I want to add this, to kind of help Frank out. There are people living real lives. People can be redeemed for when the love is there. Tell me a better love story than that. Tell me a better demonstration of love than I've never heard it. I've never heard of a father, of a husband loving his wife more than that. Because that's a test. That's a real test.
You don't have to answer that question.
Oh, let me stop it right there. All right, so what do we have here, guys? Right? We had the hook where I was telling you guys, hey, listen, this is the best love story that you've ever heard. And notice how the hook as well helped out the unpredictable nature. Because if I tell you guys that this is the best love story that you've ever heard, you're going to be thinking, oh, this is going to be so beautiful. It's going to be so sweet. It's going to be so flowery. The hook itself sets your ass up for the unpredictable nature. Being unpredictable is so important when you tell a good story, guys. You cannot let these fuckers see where you're going. You can't do it. So the hook set them up. I got the hook in there by telling everybody, hey, listen, best love story you're ever going to hear. I got the engagement, multiple storylines with the son, with how they're doing things in Atlanta, right? Playing up the emotion that the parties are grieving. Listen, we had the climax. None of you can tell me that you saw that knife coming out. None of you can tell me that you saw when that husband stood up, you saw his intestines falling out. You didn't see it, right? You also didn't see the end. What didn't you see? You didn't see the close. What was the close, right? The close was, how is this a love story? Well, you say you love your wife. That's what you say. That's what you said in front of the pastor. That's what you said, 5 years after you guys were married. You say you loved her. Do you love her enough to save her life when she just tried to kill you? Do you love her that much? Now, some people can say, Lee, I'm sorry, that's not love, that's trauma. That's trauma bonding, Lee. Okay, fair enough. That's what makes it interesting, right? We can talk about it, we can discuss it. What's the point? These live streams aren't boring. Guys, do not have these live streams where you're droning on and on and on. What are you talking? Who knows? Like, it's not interesting. Give me some pizzazz. Give me some razzle dazzle. Surprise me. Give me something unpredictable. Right? Unpredictability is so important when you're doing these live streams. Now, they don't have to come from you necessarily. A lot of you have guests up, and we're going to talk about pulling guests up on the panel. Having guests up, I've had some guests say some really unpredictable stuff. I've had guests get up and start stripping on my damn live. Unpredictable. Unpredictability is a huge quality, and you can express it through stories, guys. Now, I can pull up, I've got 20 stories, 20, 30 stories that I can pull up that will be like, wow, that's a good story. All right. Is it groundbreaking? Is it E.T. or Steven Spielberg, Saving Private Ryan? No, these are YouTube live streams, okay? Slow down, relax. But it keeps people engaged. When I said that woman was riding, when I said grandma was riding that dick, everybody was laughing. They stopped laughing when I said she pulled out that butcher knife. Now nobody's laughing. They were laughing at grandma, said she had bad knees. Everybody's like, oh, lead. Everybody smiled. Stop. Now everybody's leaning in a little bit. They're looking at their phone. They're like, what? That's right. I got you. Right? Some of you will have a 2-hour stream and, it's kind of boring. Learn the art of storytelling, guys. Learn the art of storytelling, practice it. You don't have to be great at it, or but if you can just hit these high points, get a hook, get some engagement, throw a person or two in there, right? So that they don't see where you're going, throw some emotions in there, get your climax, and then close it out. Close it out. That's all you got to do. All right. If you can do these things, you are good, and your live streams will improve. Your engagement will improve. Your followers, your viewers, your subscribers will improve. People will start to applaud you. They will start to see so much value. Even if you, what if you have What if you have what if your channel is about grilling, right? You say, oh, well, Lee, I'm grilling steaks. I'm just showing people how to grill steaks. Tell a story about grilling steaks. Tell a story about food. Tell a story about your favorite restaurant. What if what if your channel is about making quilts? Oh, talk to us about the best quilt you've ever made. Talk to us about the first time you tried to sell one of your quilts. Talk about how you were so proud of this quilt, and then when you sold it and the person called you up and they were mad because it fell apart 10 minutes later. Guys, let me tell you something else about stories too. If you try to make yourself the hero of your story, people will try to find ways to kind of tear you down a little bit. It's human nature. Humans do the opposite. Have you guys noticed that? Humans do the opposite. If I make a story about how great I am, you guys will listen and you're like, no, you could have done this, or you could have done that, or you're lying, you're capping, you really ain't that great. If I try to play myself up, you guys will try to tear me down. But guess what? The opposite is true too. Thank the Lord. If I tell a story where I am self-deprecating, oh, I was so stupid, oh, I was so bad, oh, I slept with a moose. Go back and read the comments when I said I slept with a moose. So many people held me up. I'm tearing myself down. So many people said, no, don't feel bad. It happened to me too. Go back and read the comments to that. It's called, the video is called My Red Pill Moment. And so many people where I'm telling a very intimate, very embarrassing moment in my life. And so many of the comments hold me up. Do not be afraid to tell an embarrassing story about yourself. Now, don't get crazy. I had a content creator come on my show and he got crazy. And he started talking about his sexual interaction with children. Don't go there, right? Something lighthearted, but something embarrassing. Give people a reason to build you up. Don't come on this. There's this content creator who's like, oh, my car is so great. He's a young dude. He's in his 20s, and he talked about how much money he has because his car is good. He keeps talking about how much money he has because he's got a nice car. Now, if you're older, you tell me you got a lot of money because you got a nice car, you're in your 20s. I'm like, okay. All right. But people are going to try to tear him down. But if he's humble and he talks about some of his embarrassment, he's not, just the cream of the crop in every aspect. He's always talking about all the women he has sex with. I have sex with so many women. Okay, all right. Right? But are you really going to get a following on that? Maybe Fresh and Fit, right? But you know what I'm saying? So if you're going to, don't be afraid to tell stories about yourself. I have told multiple stories about myself. And almost always, you will be hard pressed to find a story that I tell about myself where I don't take a jab at myself. I always take jabs at myself. It is intentional. I know that if I take a jab at myself, you won't. I'm going to get jabbed. If you tell a story about yourself, you're going to get jabbed. The only question is, are you going to give yourself the jab, or are they going to give you the jab? It's always better for you to give it because you're going to give it lighter. And people are going to be like, no, you're good. All right. Tell stories. It can be about yourself. It can be about other people. Make them interesting. Guys, make your lives interesting, your live streams. All right. A great way to make your live streams interesting is by telling stories. All right, on to the next one.